There was a man called Manoah, who was from the tribe of Dan. His wife was called barren, because she did not have a child of her own. One day she encountered the angel of the Lord, who appeared to told her that if though she is barren and childreless, she will be pregnant and give birth to a child, a son. Make sure that you do not have any fermented drink or wine. Also make sure you do not eat any unclean food. You shall have a son whose head will never be shaved with a razor, because he will be a Nazirite specially dedicated to God from his mother's womb. This son of yours shall lead and deliver the children of Israel from the Philistines. The woman was amazed and excited. She ran to inform husband of the visit from the angel. Her husband Manoah prayed to God and asked him to send an angel that will guide and teach them how they can raise the boy and bring him up according to the word of God. The Lord heard his came back. Manoah asked the angel of the Lord, when the words have come to pass, are there any rules we need to keep in order to ensure the boy's work and life? The angel of the Lord repeated what he had told Manoah's wife. Shortly, Manoah's wife gave birth to a son, and they called him Samson. He grew in the spirit of the Lord, and God blessed him with strength. As he got older, the spirit of the Lord began to stir in him while he was in Mahanaim. The young Samson, as he grew up, went to Timnah. There he met a woman from Philistine. On his returns home, he informed his parents that he has met a Philistine woman whom he would like to marry. They were dismayed about his choice of a wife, a Philistine woman. They asked him if he cannot find a woman among his tribe that will be to be his wife, that he should go marry, from uncircumcised Philistines. But Samson insisted to get married to her. What his parents did not know, if that this was the plan of the Lord for him to get closer to and confront the Philistines. While Samson was going to Timnah, as he passed through the forest, he encountered a lion. It suddenly roared and it pierced the air. The young lion charged at Samson. At that time, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson and filled him with power. With that surge and strength, Samson used his bare hands to tear the lion's mouth apart, like he was tearing a ewe apart with his bearing lamb. The death of the lion showed Samson's strength, but he did not mention it to his parents. On his way back to marry the Philistine woman, he saw the lion's carcass, covered in a swarm of honey. He took some of the honey with his hands and ate, while heading back to rejoin his parents. On getting there, he also offered some of the honey to his parents to eat, but never mentioned how or where he got it from. During his wedding feast, Samson asked the Philistines a riddle. He said they should give him the answer within the next 7 days of the feast, and in return, he will give them 30 sets of clothes and linen garments. But if they are unable to tell him the answer to the riddle, they must give him 30 linen clothes and garments. The Philistines asked him to tell them the riddle, and he replied and said, 4, 3, 280 it. He replied them saying, out of the eater came forth meat, and out of the strong came forth sweetness. After the 7th day, they went unto Samson's wife and said to her, entice to a husband that he will declare unto us the riddle, else we burn thee and thy father's house with fire. Have ye called us here to take what we have? Is it not so? So Samson's wife wept to him, saying, you do hate me, and does not love me. You have put a riddle unto my people, and you have not told me what the answer is. But Samson replied her, saying, I have neither told my father or mother. When then should I tell you? Samson's wife cried so she can tell her people the riddle before sunset. On the 7th day, the men said to Samson, what is sweeter than honey, and what is stronger than a lion? And Samson said unto them, if ye had not plowed with my heifer, you have not found out my riddle. And the Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson, and he went down to Ashkelon, and slew down 30 men. 2 took everything they had, and he also gave change of garments to those who had explained the riddle. He was kindled with anger, and he went to his father's home. After the feast, Samson visited his wife, and said he was going in unto her for companionship. But her father said to him, her father would not allow him, and said, I verily thought I hated her, hence I gave her to your companion. But is her younger sister not fairer than she is? Why not take her instead? Samson said to them, this time no one will blame me, and I van't get even with the Philistines. So Samson went out and 300 foxes, took a firebrand, and tied them tail to tail in between the 2 of them. And when he had set the brands, he set it on fire, and allowed them into the Philistines standing corns and set it on fire. The smell of the burnt filled the air, and the Philistines let out a loud cry. Who could have done this, they asked, as they watched their crops and livelihood go up in flames. Samson burned both the vineyards, olives, and standing corn. When the Philistines asked who had done that, they answered them, saying, Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, he gave his wife to his companion. So the Philistines went and burned her and her father's household with fire. Samson said to them, though you have done this thing, I will not stop until I have gotten my revenge on every one of you. And he slaughtered many of them, and then went down to dwell on top of Rock Etam. The Philistines went ahead and spread themselves around Lehi. The men of Judah asked, why have you come against us? Why have you come to fight us? And they answered, saying, we have come to take Samson as our prisoner, and do to him the same thing he did to us. Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the Rock Etam, and said to Samson, did you not know that the Philistines rules over us? What is this thing you have done unto us? Samson answered them, saying, I have done to them what they did to me. And they said to Samson, we have come to take thee with us, so that we can deliver you to the people of the Philistines. And Samson said to them, can you swear to me that you will not kill me yourselves? And they agreed and said to him, no, would not kill you. We will tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines. So they tied him up with 2 cords and brought him out of the rock. When Samson closer to Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him while raging towards him. Then the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the ropes in which they used in tying him became like a flax that was burnt with fire, and his hands became loose. Then he found a new jawbone off from a donkey, and used it to slew 1,000. And Samson said, "With the jawbone of a donkey, I have slain over 1,000 men." And after he had said that, Samson threw the jawbone to the ground, and called the place Ramath-Gilead. Afterwards Samson became so thirsty, and he called upon the name of the Lord, saying, "You have given great deliverance against these people. Should I now die of thirst, and then fall into the hands of those who are uncircumcised?" Then God made an opening in a hollow place in Lehi, and water came out from it, and Samson drank and renewed his strength. The place was called Enak, which has remained there till today. One day Samson went to Gaza. There he met a woman, and went into her for the night. When the people of Gaza heard Samson was around, they surrounded him, and laid waiting for him all night. They said to themselves, "We will lay wait this night and kill him in the morning." But at midnight, Samson rose and went out through the city gate, held the 2 posts and tore them apart, and he lifted them to his shoulders. Then he carried them to the hilltop that is before Hebron. Afterwards, Samson fell in love with a woman in the valley of Sorek called Delilah. The Philistine rulers came to Delilah and said to her, "See if you can lure your Samson to tell you the secret of his strength, and how we can overpower him, so that we can tie him up and defeat him." 0:10:46.4 8 him so we may tie him up and subdue him. They all promised to give her 1,100 pieces of silver. So Delilah went in unto Samson, and said to him, "Tell me, I beg thee, the secret to your power and strength, wherein you can be tied so hard, yet you are not subdued." Then Samson answered her and said, "If they tie me with 7 green fresh strings, then I will become weak, like an ordinary man." So the lords of the Philistines gave Delilah 7 fresh green bows, and she used it to tie Samson, while some men were hiding in the room. She then called Samson and said, "The Philistines be upon you." But Samson broke the withe so easily, like a thread which is thrown into fire, yet they still did not know the source of his strength. The Delilah said to Samson, "You lied to me. Why have you made a fool of me?" Then Samson said to Delilah, "If they tie me fast with new ropes that have never been used, then I will become weak, juicy, like another man." So Delilah took new ropes and tied him with them, and called out to Samson, saying, "The Philistines are upon thee." Yet again he broke the ropes off like a thread. Then Delilah said to him, "Why do you mock me and tell me lies? Why not tell me the truth about the source of your strength?" And Samson said to her, "If you weave the 7 locks on my head with a web." And she used a pin and tied his locks, and said unto Samson again, "The Philistines are unto thee." And Samson woke up from his sleep, and went away with the pin and web on his head. Each day Delilah pressed him to tell her the secret to his strength, and then he became upset, and said to her, "I am a Nazarite of God from my mother's womb. No razor has ever touched my head. If you shave my hair, then I will lose my strength, and I will become weak as any other man." Then Delilah saw that he had said that with all his heart. She went forth and told the lords of the Philistines what he had said. Then they brought the money which they had promised her. She put Samson to sleep upon her knees, called a man to shave Samson's 7 locks off his head, and his strength left him. Afterwards she said to him, "The Philistines are upon thee." And when he woke up, he said to himself, "I will out, like the other time before now, and shake myself up." But he did not know that the Lord had left him. So the Philistines took him. They pulled out his eyes, and took him to Gaza, where they bound him with fetters of brass, and put him in prison. While he was there, his hair began to grow back. The lords of the Philistines gathered themselves to offer a sacrifice to their God, and they said to themselves, "Our God has given our enemy Samson to our hands." When the multitude saw Samson, they danced and praised their God, as well as they said, "He has delivered their enemy into their hands, who has wasted their land." While they were high spirits, they shouted for them to bring Samson out to entertain them, and he did. When they brought him out, Samson said to the men that held his hands, "Place me in a place where I can feel the pillars with my hands, where there is a support to the temple so that I can lean on them." The temple was filled with the Philistine rulers, men and women who were watching him perform. At that time, Samson said a prayer to God, "O merciful God, remember me. Give me the strength to this one time, that I may with one take my revenge on the people of the Philistines from my eyes." He reached towards the 2 center pillars which supported the pillars, braced himself against them with one hand on each of the pillars. He said, "Let me die with the people of the Philistine." The Philistines let out a loud cry, which filled the air of the temple as it collapsed and killed, and Samson died with them.